You guys want some tea? You guys want some drama? Well, guess what? Someone we played bingo to has made a response video. Yeah, Arthur Frederick, who appeared in a Sidemen Reacts video we recently covered, just fired back with the video where he very calmly and reasonably makes some good points that I do agree with and makes a few points that I disagree with. Someone in the chat said, we're going to war. Yeah, we're not. I promise you we're not. No. It's very good natured. And before we continue, I should note that Arthur is not officially one of the Sidemen. He was the guest in the video we discussed, and I hope he doesn't think I'm criticizing him or his channel. All my criticisms were aimed at the Sidemen Reacts channel, but let us go into Arthur's videos. Like I said, he makes some good points I agree with. He makes some points I disagree with. ReactBot, are you ready to just absolutely destroy and cancel Arthur? I can't even. Me neither, buddy. Me neither. And one last thing, Arthur seems lovely. Genuinely. I know that might come off as sarcastic. It's not. Seems like a perfectly chill dude. And I'll go into that even more. I feel like people watch this to feel a little less alone. They feel like they're one of the boys, one of the Sidemen. But I'll tell you, their commentary is pretty flipping empty.
Okay, I agree with that. Like, first point, like, I do think that a big part of the reason why I love doing reaction videos with friends is because I feel like I know what the viewer's going to feel like, whether they're watching it by themselves or with their friends. It's like, it just does feel like you're hanging out with people that are your friends. Even when I film actually solo reaction videos, like, I like speaking to the camera and imagining like people watching at home as if we're just hanging out together. It was a big part of the reason why I started my Arthur Frederick channel, which is now essentially my main channel. But I started that as like Arthur TV Reacts because I used to, like, I never really watched much YouTube growing up, but I used to watch PewDiePie all the time. And I just really liked the fact that, like, if I was having a bowl of cereal or having a sandwich at lunch and I put his videos on, like, they weren't the most insanely like fast-paced edited or like, you know, it wasn't giving away islands or surviving 100 hours underground or any of the crazy stuff that Mr. Beast does. But it was just like, he just watch a funny video and like chat about it or like browse Reddit.
I don't disagree with you at all about that very unique personal feeling of watching a video with a group of people, like virtually. That is a good feeling. Like I mentioned before, like Corridor Crew, that's a good example of exactly that. Just like it's a group of dudes on a couch. They're all friends. You kind of feel like you're one of the fellas, you're, you know, part of them, and they're analyzing, you know, movie scenes and TV scenes and such. Red Letter Media, one of my personal favorite YouTube channels, is also similar in that regard. It's these film critics that know exactly how to articulate what makes a movie good or bad, but you end up getting sucked into Red Letter Media because of the camaraderie, like just the relationship amongst the reviewers, because they're all like lifelong friends. There's a sketch comedy channel called Wizards with Guns that I love, and they're not really a reaction channel, but every once in a blue moon, when they don't upload like a short sketch, they upload like a 20 or 30 minute video of them on a couch, again, watching some movie. And I used to never watch those. I always like put them off. I'm like, nah, I'm here for the sketches. I'm not here for these like watch along films or whatever. Then I decided to watch one. Within 60 seconds, I was like guffawing. I was laughing very hard. They make these little bits and these jokes, and they keep building on these stupid little running bits that they're inventing while watching some stupid movie. It's great. I know exactly where you're coming from, trying to recreate that feeling of watching something with your friends. I think that's super noble. The problem with the Sidemen Reacts channel is that they're different from all of those examples I just mentioned because they're not adding anything. People can watch them to like feel a little less alone, to feel like, oh, I'm just watching some funny TikToks with the boys. The problem is those boys don't provide any transformative like thought or input to elevate it, or not even to elevate it, to justify the usage of these TikToks. So anyways, Arthur, I completely agree with that feeling of like watching something with your friends and trying to recreate that. Absolutely. That's a big selling point of Sidemen Reacts, but I have much more to say. Okay, right. Okay, so I'm hunting around for a credit. There's no credit on screen. That bit, right? Well, I see Sidemen Reacts, and that's nice and big, but I'm shocked, I tells you. Shocked. There's no credit on screen.
To be fair, that is quite valid. I mean, I don't think they assembled these clips themselves. I think when we watched this like was a compilation already put together on YouTube. But I agree. I think it'd be a nice touch if in the description some of the content creators were featured or just their at was seen on screen.
That's outstanding to hear. That's like, honestly, like, that's really cool to hear from you, Arthur. Genuinely. Like, thank you. And my whole point, like, why bother? Why bother showing the credit on screen or links in the description? Like, why is that so important? What if the Sidemen Reacts channel, they react to a really funny TikTok and all the boys are laughing and you, the viewer, you're laughing, right? And you think, gee, I want to watch more from this creator. Where do I go to watch more from this creator? That's really funny. Oh, well, you're SOL. You're straight out of luck. That's what that means, right? You're straight out of luck because there's nowhere to go. There's nothing on screen. There's nothing in the description. And that sucks. And then all of a sudden, like, you're robbing that original creator of not just an audience, but potential income. But it's just this huge missed opportunity. And that makes me so happy, Arthur, to hear that you agree with that. By the way, like, again, like, I don't mean to like wag my finger at you, Arthur. I know you're not part of the Sidemen crew. And I'm really not criticizing the Sidemen either. It's just the channel Sidemen Reacts. That's where all of my criticism is going to, right? Not them as a people and certainly not you. I defend everything I said about the Sidemen Reacts channel. I like this Arthur fella. He makes some good points. And even the points I disagree with, he states them in a respectful way. Let's see what else these crazy Sidemen are gonna say.
I love how he's calling me a Sidemen. But to be fair, like...
Yeah, no, that's... Arthur, that's my bad. I apologize. That's 1,000,000% my bad. Just kind of lopping you in, grouping you in with the Sidemen. If it's any consolation, I got plenty of flack in the comment section, both in my vid and yours, from people saying like, oh my God, if Jack just did a fucking ounce of research, he would know. So, mea culpa. We're going to come up to a fundamental disagreement you and I have here that I want to get into.
But to be fair, like, the clips come thick and fast. We're all kind of like watching and we have the ability to pause, but I don't feel like that's the point in this channel. I don't think people are coming on here for like deep analysis into that joke. I honestly think if we sat there and paused that and spoke too much about it, everyone would be like, okay, like, I watched the TikTok too. I get it. It doesn't really like require much in-depth analysis.
Now, here's where we have a fundamental disagreement in opinion here. And I get it. I do understand where you're coming from, right? Like if you pause too much, if you pause too many times, the viewers will drop off and that retention time will suffer. I talked about this exact same thing with Azzyland in a video from earlier this year, because that's what she did. But here's where the problem lies, in my opinion. Then people are just watching for the TikToks. And I understand if you pause too many times, you'll lose viewers' interest. And I keep saying you. I'm not really talking about you specifically, Arthur. I'm really not. I'm talking about the Sidemen Reacts channel in general. And I need to remember that. I apologize. I feel like a lot of this seems directed at you, and it's really not. That is a huge problem, though. If the Sidemen Reacts crew, if they're not pausing to like add something, then it's not transformative. And if it's not transformative, then what is it? It's theft. It's just stealing content. It's just playing other people's TikToks and videos for gobs of money, too much money. That's why I'm so adamant about like, make it transformative, add something to it. That's why I do the bingo shit, because I feel like the bingo adds a lot. It helps people recognize the signs of freebooting and content theft in a fun, entertaining way, but somewhat educational. There you go. Here, Arthur, if you're here, someone in the chat, Cornier Cult, just said, I used to watch Sniper Wolf, another reactor, bit of a lazy reactor if you ask me. And I can safely say I only watched for the vines at the time. That's my whole argument. People are really watching these types of channels, Sidemen Reacts types of channels, not even really for the company, but for the TikToks. And so like, yeah, I agree. Like when they like if you pause and talk, you know, then the kids watching are like, come on, get to the next TikTok. But that also like defeats the whole purpose. So that's where you and I have a fundamental disagreement. Also, Arthur, I would love to have a conversation with you about this sometime. Genuinely. Any forum, you know, and not even a debate, just a chat, just a friendly chat. Because you seem like a very friendly, nice enough guy. Yeah, Swissy the Cheese writes, yeah, I also was a former Sniper Wolf watcher, and I just did it for the videos and not even her commentary. Yeah, see? And that's the whole problem with lazy reaction content or lazy reactor channels. And I try to be very careful with that distinction, right? Because I'm not saying all reaction content is bad, but I am saying that lazy reaction content, it's a plague. It's a plague on YouTube, and it purely exists to make a profit off of other people's content in the most lucrative, efficient way. So they did have reactions to the first video. Just that was That was very relatable, right, Stewie? Ryan, look out. No. That's it. That's all they had to say. Relatable.
I mean, it's not exactly like a complex social topic. Like, there's not like incredibly intelligent, deep undertones to it that like require philosophizing over. It's just a funny TikTok. And I do partly like get where he's coming from. Like, I do a lot of stuff on my channel now, even on like Arthur Frederick, which essentially is like Arthur TV Reacts, where like when we watch something like My Strange Addictions or Love Don't Judge, and there's like complex topics of like societal norms, like relationships, expectations, like how you should treat strangers, how you should treat people who are different, whether it's our place to judge people on the internet, even if they have signed up to this show to be broadcast nationally. But I think those types of shows and clips like require it. That I just don't think it does.
First off, Arthur, I genuinely love that you apply complex analysis to complex topics on your channel. I think that's cool as hell. I think that's awesome. That unironically makes me want to check out your channel. That makes me want to go to your channel and hear your analyses. To your argument that some TikToks don't deserve analysis, then maybe the Sidemen Reacts channel shouldn't be playing those TikToks. You know what I mean? If they're not providing any analysis, which I kind of argue that they really don't, then it becomes a watch party, right? And that was a phrase coined by, not me, but from a creator I spoke with last year who had his content stolen by Sniper Wolf, Mikey Skates.
It's a watch party. It's not, you're not actually taking the content, you know, transforming it, making it funny. Like when someone like Sniper Wolf is coming in and, you know, they're playing their video for 30 million, 40 million people, you know, they're like, why would I go and watch that TikTok and give this person support when I just saw it here? And I don't have to go watch it now. You're not gaining anything at all or even being credited. And it just kind of sucks.
Again, you're watching for the content, not so much the company, right? In this case, the Sidemen Reacts people. That's my tell for lazy reaction content, right? Like if you want a clear distinction of like what separates a good reaction channel from a lazy reaction channel, here it is. If you're watching for the TikToks and not so much the commentary, that's a lazy reaction channel. And that's kind of one of my arguments against Sidemen Reacts is it very much feels like that. A lot of it feels like, come on, next TikTok, let's go. You're less watching for their input, which they don't really have a lot of, and more for the stuff they're reacting to. Watching really becomes a watch party, and they're monetizing a watch party without the consent of the original uploaders, and that's where I have a big old problem with, right? And something else I want to add here. I've seen a lot of people say like, oh, it's not that deep. They're just TikToks. Like, who cares? Oh, I've spoken with original creators who've had their stuff stolen by lazy reactors. They care. I'm telling you. And I'm not just talking with people like in YouTube comments and in the Twitch chat. I mean, I'm having like 30-minute video interviews with these original creators. And I ask them point blank, like, A, like, do you think this commentary is transformative and justifies the use of your work? And they always go, no. And then B, I also ask them, are you cool with this person making thousands, literal thousands of dollars off of your content without your consent? And of course, they always say, hell no. So that's the problem. It kind of is that deep. That's why I have a whole issue with this. That's why I've been fighting this for like almost 18 years now. I say like, that's important too. Like this stuff isn't new, right? Stealing other people's content, obviously that's not new. Content theft hasn't gone away. It's just changed and evolved. But I'm telling you, the telltale signs, they're all the same. You can spot it a mile away. That's why I started the bingo, really. Alrighty, let's keep going though. There's a really good point Arthur is about to make here. How guests act when they see food coming. What will those crazy side boys say?
I don't like appearing on other people's channels because I can't add the voice deepener.
Yeah, you don't know about that, Vic, where someone's like, you're at someone else's house and they're carrying around food, so you're like,
wait, what? They're still talking about the previous TikTok, right? About editing their voice. And then this guy's like, wait, whoa. You never felt this way when someone carries a tray of food? Wait, what? I don't know if this is an editing mistake, but something's going on where like they're still talking about the previous TikTok. Because they don't like, hey, maybe pause the video, maybe pause and then like have your commentary.
Honestly, that was completely my bad. That is not the guy's fault because like we all have the ability to pause it, but I don't want after the first clip to be like, this isn't really my channel. I'm a guest on this channel. I don't know if I've even said that, by the way. I'm obviously not one of the Sidemen. I'm just friends with them. So they were like, oh, we've got this shoot day where we're going to record a bunch of videos. Do you want to come along? And I was like, yeah, we have a similar audience that probably overlaps a little bit.
That's totally valid. Yeah. Like, you're the guest on that video. And even if you have the ability to pause, you don't want to do it too early. I would feel so intimidated, right? If I were the guest on, you know, a gigantic, you know, well-established group of people, right? Like the Sidemen. Arthur, I totally get what you're saying here, and I agree. Yeah. If I were in your shoes, I wouldn't pause early either. I think one of the actual Sidemen maybe should have paused and said something, but that's neither here nor there. Because, like, if you're a guest, you don't want to mess up the flow, and certainly not in those initial, like, 30 seconds or so, right? ReactBot, do you think Arthur has a point?
This drama is spicy.
It is very spicy drama. Yeah, you know what? We are going head-to-head here, me and Arthur. Now, I'm telling you, man, the drama is a-flowing. All right, let's keep going. My man. Guys, come on. Can we get some respect here?
I gotta respect this.
Come on.
Also, I would agree so much more with this if this was like their main channel stuff, because you'd be like, oh, you know, like if this is all you're doing one of these videos a week, put more effort into it. But I feel like this channel, like, obviously is supposed to be quite a chill, like, watch a few funny TikToks and almost like react in real time like you would if you were watching it with mates. Like, so much time and effort obviously goes into the Sidemen Sunday every single week. They can't also put out reacts videos that are like edited and timed perfectly and flow perfectly, because it's just not what the goal is. So it's valid constructive criticism, but I think he's missing the point of the channel a bit.
I don't think I missed the point of the Sidemen Reacts channel. I don't, because it is an avenue to make more frequent and lower effort content. And I respect the fact that the Sidemen fellas make much more extravagant, higher effort videos on their main channel and other channels too. That does not justify, though, what they do on the Sidemen Reacts channel. I think my point still stands there. Yeah, see, there you go. Benny in the chat just said, money farm by stealing other people's work. I can't justify that. I can't justify that regardless of the effort the Sidemen put in their other channels. And I'm not saying, like, I'm not here to knock anything else they do. Notice I'm not talking about their main channel. I'm purely here to criticize fairly the Sidemen Reacts channel, because what that channel is it's kind of outright theft. Theft? Wow. Fucking hell, dude. It's also theft. Jesus. Got me all tongue-tied here. It's theft. And no amount of awesome main channel content can justify that. Let me give you my perspective. If I hired an editor, someone from my team to open up TikTok and just grab all of the, you know, all the stuff off the For You page, anything with over like 10 million likes, download all of this into a compilation so that me and my buddies can react to it. I upload it on one of my other channels because I got my main channel where I make, you know, good content. Let's say I have a channel purely called like JJJacksfilms Reacts, right? And it's just like the Sidemen Reacts. It's like me and like maybe like Eric, maybe Brock, I know some of my boys. And we're just watching 10 minutes of other people's TikToks. We just play it straight. We don't ever pause it. And all you hear from us is like, that's gotta hurt. Youch. Damn, that's cringe. And then I upload it and it gets a shit ton of views. It gets like 1 million views, thousands of dollars of AdSense. Like, come on, that is theft. I can't hide behind the fact that like, oh, well, it's not my main channel. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it is or isn't. That's theft. That's content theft. I'm profiting off of other people's work without their consent. Now, I do think that's wrong, and that's a disagreement. That's a legit disagreement that we seem to have. And again, like, I'm not knocking the Sidemen for the main channel stuff they do. I also think the main channel stuff they do is irrelevant. I don't care that they spend a lot of effort on other stuff. They're stealing on this channel, on Sidemen Reacts, and making millions of dollars off of it from the billions of views I've seen. Which, yeah, Coco Mute writes, would you steal a TikTok? And Arthur, I'm not saying you would. And again, like, I know there's a lot of finger wagging, and it's not at you. It's at the Sidemen Reacts. But let's move on.
Oh, no. I do hate this.
You got to speed run that.
I hate people that take ages, though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's so much worse than I thought.
Is there much more to say? What is this guy's problem?
It was so much worse than my prediction. I'll tell you what my problem is. I'm laughing like that just because it seemed so rushed. It was just such a nothing burger. Hence my guffaw. I laughed at the abruptness of like, oh, we're over. It's over. That's it? No, that's all. That's all. That's what makes me like physically laugh out loud. It's stuff like that. And just so you know, Arthur, like, that's kind of become like a running gag on our channel, JJJacksfilms. That almost always happens when I catch a reaction channel just like forgetting to even react. That breaks me almost every single time. That's why one of our spaces is ... that's it. And that's fair. Yeah, I hear you, right? Like, I'm not providing an example, right? Allow me to add just anything, any travel story, you know, because I'm sure the Sidemen, they do a lot of travel, right? So that's where like a self-insert of like a little flying tail, it's anything, right? You can just talk about that universal feeling of feeling rushed, getting all your shit in the bin at TSA. Like everyone, like that's such a universal feeling for anyone who's ever traveled. I feel like you could just tap into that a bit more. Say anything about it. Again, sorry, Arthur, not you. When I say you, I mean like the Sidemen Reacts channel. Not you. You should have said more, Arthur. No, that's not what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Draw from your experience and make it your own. Glasses just wrote, if there's nothing to say, don't include it. And I think that's a great rule of thumb for not just Sidemen Reacts, but any reaction channel out there, right? Like, if you don't have anything to say, why bother having it in your compilation? What should they have said? Fucking anything, man. Like, anything at all about, like, this is so true, you know? Like, I'm so stressed taking my shoes off and like finding a little bench to like, you know, get them back on again so I don't miss my gate. And when I have to take the belt off, that's a whole thing. Sometimes I leave a water bottle in. It's like, oh, fuck, I left the water bottle in the backpack again. God damn it. I didn't drink all my liquids. Oh, fuck, there's the laptop. The 3-1-1 rule. Ah, fuck, my laptop's in the backpack. And they're always like, take your laptop out. And then what about the Switch? What about the Nintendo Switch? Do I leave the Switch in the bag? Is the Switch a laptop? And what about my e-reader? What about the e-reader, Arthur? Anyways, there's so much more that could be said. Anything. Sidemen people, Sidemen Reacts people, don't just go to the next TikTok. Add something of worth, of value. That's all. Those Sidemen boys, like, watch this stream and they see me, like, cackling and laughing like a fucking goblin. And they're like, what's so funny about that? I'll feel a little, like, self-conscious and insane. I don't know. Am I the only person that finds that very funny? That they just said nothing?
Yeah, because if he's going to say, like, oh, they said nothing. If he was like, oh, there's this really obvious thing that you should have said, or like you really should have discussed this point, or like there was this really profound, like, but he's just going like, oh, they didn't really add much. And then he doesn't really add much himself. Like, realistically, is what he just did then, reacting to us, any different? He's just going, ha, they didn't really add much. And that's it. He laughed and didn't add much. And
I disagree a little bit there. I will say this, I feel like the whole bingo aspect adds a lot. I feel like me addressing it, just the whole like awareness, the whole perspective of like, this is why I think it's funny. I explained why I thought it was funny. I didn't just laugh and say next TikTok. I disagree there. I think I added a bit more than that, but I hear you. Arthur, you're saying like, well then put up or shut up. Like say, like, what should we have said, man? What should we have said, Jack? That is a fair critique. And I just gave some examples of what the Sidemen Reacts people could have said. I do hear you though.
Some people find watching him do this entertaining, and some people find watching us watch TikToks and do that entertaining. I kind of wish this was a conversation, like, or even a live stream where I could be typing in chat and just be like, what do you think about this, you know?
Arthur, I would genuinely love to have a conversation with you, and not an adversarial one, not like a contentious, you know, conversation. I not even a debate. I would love to sit down and chat with you in any medium, in any way. Like, is it a Zoom call? Is it I don't fucking care. I genuinely love to chat with you. Like, you seem perfectly level-headed. You're making some great points. And I would love to talk to you about, like, you know, the whole crux of reaction content and what makes good and bad reaction content. You seem like a perfectly reasonable and friendly person to chat with. I'm sending you my invite. Would love to chat in whatever capacity you seem fit. And no rush, by the way. There's no ultimatum. There's not like this Friday at 12 o'clock. No, it's whatever. Would love to chat with you though. Just have a fun little friendly dialogue about this whole thing. So at least you're not showing up to my fucking front door. You know what I'm saying? There are 2 more bits I want to share with you guys.
Because you look like him. You look like him.
Okay, my reaction to them not saying anything. Nice pit stains, idiot. I kind of think they forgot to react there. I'm going to give you 2. Only reacts with a laugh and also forgot to react because there's nothing.
I mean, if we genuinely, like, if we just sat there and started speaking about the political and economic state of the world right now, you know, maybe we could have an interesting discussion about addiction or the
does
problem
sound
of
interesting.
homelessness or the way people interact with people with mental health issues or disabilities. It would be valid, and like Simon and Vic are like, they're intelligent guys, like they're socially switched on. They can have that conversation, but it's not what people are there to see. When they're just like a small clip of like something lightly relatable, after the 5th one, if we did that every time, people are like, bloody hell, like shut up, I just want to see the bloody TikToks.
And that's the problem right there. You said it for me. That's my whole argument in a nutshell. The viewers just want to see the next TikTok. That's where we have this base level disagreement in terms of Sidemen Reacts. Not so much you and your content. That's the big problem for me. The whole, like, you basically admitted that those viewers are there to watch not the Sidemen, but the TikToks. You know, so you make the point of like, you know, if they broke down, if they paused every 5 seconds, or if they broke down, you know, what they were watching, yeah, then you know what that would do? It would make it transformative, right? And not outright thievery. Because here's the thing, Arthur, and not just anyone watching, right? I've said this before, I'll say it again. This can all come down like a house of cards. If the original creators of these TikToks that the Sidemen Reacts crew are watching, if they saw and recognized their clip being used in this way, they can report it on YouTube, and then the Sidemen Reacts team would be forced to either remove that clip from the video or take down the whole video. How do I know that? Because I've seen that happen so many times. If you make your commentary transformative, then the original creators can't do that. But if you don't, then they can. And, you know, all of a sudden it's bye-bye Sidemen Reacts.
Which, by the way, is a problem I've spoken about before. Like, I did that like Karen's video with Batch, and me and Batch like speak a lot. Like, we've spoken about this on our podcast where like we happily do like 10-15 seconds of clips, pause it, and we'll speak for like a minute. Like, we love to yap, and that's what our channel's all about. And
That's
unlike
great.
the Sidemen, like, we put all our time and energy into that. Like, that's what we find interesting.
That sounds awesome. That, again, that makes me want to check out your personal channel. That makes me want to check out what you do. If you're doing more complex analysis, if you are pausing and adding your own input, you know why? Then I'm not watching for the content. I'm watching for your analysis. I'm watching for your commentary, right? I'm not watching for the fun, silly TikToks. I'm watching for your educated input, because that actually does sound interesting to me. That sounds like something I would watch. And most importantly, that's not thievery. That's not stealing content. That's adding to it, making it transformative, and giving people more of a reason to see you, and not just the, you know, the reality show you're reacting to, for example. We're going to move on to, this is the final bit, everyone, final bit.
I don't know, part of me does get it somewhat. Like, having spent so much time and putting so much effort into like wanting my analysis and commentary to be like high quality and in-depth on my channel, I can understand why you look at some creators sitting there giggling, not really saying much, just using other people's content to farm views. A little bit frustrating. But I feel like given the Sidemen adds so much quality to YouTube, they kind of get a bit more of a pass to me for having a channel where they go like, this isn't going to be crazy high effort or crazy in-depth analysis. Just come along, watch a few funny TikToks with me and a few of the boys, and it'll be good fun.
No, and that's another just disagreement I have with you there. Like, no, I don't think the Sidemen get a pass just because they make higher effort content elsewhere. That doesn't entitle them to an entire channel dedicated to other people's TikToks where they add nothing of value, nothing transformative, and people aren't even watching for them or their commentary. I argue they're watching for the TikToks. That's what I said about Sniper Wolf for a couple of years now. You're not watching for her input. You're watching for those cool TikToks she curates. And that's my whole argument here, right? Like, their fame, their popularity, and even their effort does not justify what they do on the Sidemen Reacts channel. Yeah, Skelly Boy, that's another... People in the Twitch chat, they're really good at, like, taking the yapping I say and making it much more succinct and punchy. So they make good videos so they can steal others. That's so much more succinct. That's beautifully put and very funny. Arthur, my final argument is that I'm not saying all reaction content is bad. In fact, like, it seems like you do a very different type of reaction content than what the Sidemen Reacts channel does. I try to be careful with my distinction. I talk about lazy reaction content, which is what I think the Sidemen Reacts channel is, just lazy reaction content. However, I appreciate your level-headed commentary, and you brought up some legit criticisms, and I thank you for being so civil in this discussion. It's kind of a delight to see here. And again, Arthur, as I said over and over again, like, I do not mean to criticize you or your content. In fact, if anything, let me give you guys another example of a channel that makes good reaction content. That's not lazy reaction content. I want to show you how to actually react. You know who it freaking is, though? It's my man, Arthur Frederick. Genuinely. You brought up so many points that made me want to watch your channel. And I'm not talking like hate watching or sarcastic watching. Like, yeah, I'll watch your channel. Like, no. I am genuinely intrigued to check out your stuff because it sounds like, and also it's not just for me. I've seen in a lot of comments, people are saying like, well, Arthur actually makes good content, good reaction content, and I want to check it out. So link below to both Arthur's YouTube channel and his entire criticism of our Sidemen Reacts analysis. I've linked them both below here.
Stop stealing.